Greetings, I am Marsha Hines-Lane. Welcome to another edition of Refocusing Barbados. Thank you for joining us. I thought that it would be of interest to our Refocusing Barbados family to have an overview of the elections just held in Antigua and Barbuda. We wanted to use the opportunity to get a little bit of the context in terms of the political situation in Antigua and what were some of the campaign issues. I had the opportunity to speak with MaryClaire Hurst, the General Secretary of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. Join us now as MaryClaire Hurst takes us through some of the issues leading up to the Gaston Brown win of the Antigua and Barbuda election. 14 seats to the United Progressive Party's 3 seats. Okay, so your name is Hurst.
That's correct.
What's the last one?
No, my last name is Hurst.
Oh, my apologies.
My first name is MaryClaire.
How do you spell it?
Mary, as in the Virgin Mary.
C.
Hyphen is a hyphen.
Yes.
A dash between.
Yes.
And the Claire, Claire.
Okay, and your correct title is the General Secretary of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. Great.
That's right.
Okay. I just wanted to get a little bit of context about what just transpired in Antigua and Barbuda. I was wondering if you could give me a broad overview of the political situation in Antigua. What were the factors that made the Antiguans change their government?
Well, I can say over the United Progressive Party, they were elected in 2004. And that was after the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party was in government for 28 years. 28 years in the life of any individual is cause for wanting a change. It could be that we are fed up. It could be 28 years because you are eligible to cast a vote at 18. So at 28 years, you would have voted at least twice. And they decided, I believe the electorates decided that they were fatigued. They had enough of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, and we were making some mistakes, some critical mistakes that caused the people of Antigua and Barbuda to take a second look. It appeared as if we were taking the people of Antigua and Barbuda for granted. We were making decisions and not consulting, where we had a situation of persons being inserted in the government without facing the electorate. And we had a number of, decisions that were made by the Prime Minister at the time, Lester Bird, that Antiguans were not willing to accept.
Right.
And so it was evident that a change would come because the United Progressive Party, they were campaigning continuously and they had made their case. And while we had public meetings, we realized that the people of Antigua and Barbuda had made a switch and they voted for the United Progressive Party in 2004.
Right.
The United Progressive Party came in, and in 2009, because they came in with the kind of goodwill that they did in 2004, by 2009, it was evident that they were losing some, because the people had decided to look at them, take a critical look at them. And by 2009, when they came back to the people of Antigua, the electorate, they lost 3 seats. So clearly, the people of Antigua and Barbuda had taken a detailed look at them and they were dissatisfied with their performance. And so they lost 3 seats. And the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party gained those 3. And we now had 7 members of Parliament. When we lost in 2004, we had 4.
Right.
When we lost in 2009, we got 3 of our seats back, and you needed 9 seats to form the government. We lost the government in 2009 by less than 100 votes because one of our constituencies, St. Paul's, we had a situation where our president of our trade union movement, which is the Antigua and Barbuda Trades and Labor Union, considered our parents. He came out of that organization. The president decided that he wanted to be a candidate. He did not win the primary. He was not satisfied with the result, and he decided that he was going to run independent. As a result, he got some 80-something votes. I can't remember the exact number. And our candidate, Paul Chet Green, lost by that same 80, whatever, not the identical number, but in the region. So clearly, it will appear as if he took some votes, and even if the votes he got, Chet Green would not have gotten it. His entrance in the political arena in St. Paul's, as the name of the constituency, clearly sent a signal that we were divided, and some people did not go out and vote. So we lost that seat by 80-something. And then in Barbuda, we lost by 1. That's the government right there. You understand? So in 2009, we realized that we were very close to regaining the government.
Was it that the people of Antigua at that point were seeing some of the same things that they were upset with the ALP in the UPP?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I believe what the Antigua and Barbuda people saw was that the United Progressive Party, they were incompetent. And they were not growing the economy. Our unemployment rate was climbing. They claimed that they were paying down the national debt. And when we look at the national debt, we realized that it was tripling, basically, that they continued to borrow out of control. They had to engage the IMF, and things just started to spiral for them. And it happened to be a level of incompetence, and all the cabinet members in the United Progressive Party found themselves acting as individual government, and the Prime Minister at the time appeared not to have any control. So people started to realize that maybe, just maybe, they might have made a bad decision. So they started to turn against them.
Now, why did it take so long for the election in Antigua and Barbuda to be called?
Unfortunately, we had some issues in terms of boundaries and registration, and the ABEC, which is our Antigua and Barbuda Election Commission, we had some problems there in that the ABEC wanted to increase the membership to parity. That's what they claimed. And then the chairman of ABEC, very, very partial, made some decisions that was clearly in the interests of the United Progressive Party, and we decided that, which is the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, decided that we would not accept it, and we went to the court. We went to the court and it was resolved, because what they had done was take away the position, Lorna Simon, who is the supervisor of election. They stripped her of all the position and left her as supervisor, so she only became a factor when it was election day to supervise the elections, but the registration duties they took away from her, because we thought that they saw an opportunity from ABEC to have an advantage. I won't use the term steal, but to have an advantage. And as a result, we saw it as the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party would be at a disadvantage, and we went to the court and won.
Okay,
but then they wanted to change the boundaries, and we thought that clearly it was gerrymandering. We didn't prove that. We did not prove it, not to say that it did not happen, but we did not prove it in court. But clearly it was gerrymandering, because in some constituencies where parity existed, they cut the constituency, they went into areas where they were strong, and they took out some and they put it in another area where we were strong, so it made us weak. And clearly it was just cracking and packing, we called it. And they also wanted a new registration list for absolutely no reason. There was a tribunal that they attempted to tell the tribunal in the evidence that the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party had padded the list, and we were speaking with the supervisor of the election, and she was assisting us in padding the list, and the tribunal, having looked at the evidence, said no, they did not see anything relating to putting individuals on the list, that A was dead, that B was out of the country, that C did not have the time as a non-national to be placed on the list, and so it went on. And they decided that, notwithstanding what the tribunal said, they're going to have re-registration. That started late, and as a result, it went into the month of March, where traditionally, or as we say by convention, you would call the election would be called based on the day, 5 years after the date it was called initially.
Right.
However, it needed not to be so, because the Constitution says that the 5 year starts not when the elections are called, but when the Parliament
sits.
Started, yes. So that's what the United Progressive Party used. And then, on the day that Parliament was convened, then they had 90 days thereafter in which to call the election. And that is what he used, that little loophole. So, I mean, truthfully, we had to go to the court to get our justice, because that was the only way that we go.
Now, the Antigua and Barbuda, the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party was in the political wilderness for a 10-year period. What were some of the things?
I wouldn't say that we were in the political wilderness. Why? I would say we were in the political wilderness for a year, because after the United Progressive Party became the government in 2004, a year after, the year after, we stormed back and became relevant. People started to listen to us. We had public meetings. We were doing the radio. There's a program we established called Fire and Steel, and it's a radio, it's a talk show. On that talk show was the former Minister of Tourism, Malvin Joseph, and the former Ambassador to the United Nations, and the OAS, Lionel Maxwell, who incidentally is my brother. And they started that show, and it became an instant hit on the radio station. So we became relevant. So we were never in the political wilderness, except for between 2004 and 5. So we had, when the people decided to vote. But right thereafter, we started a talk show, and we started to highlight their weaknesses, and we became a force to be reckoned with. And you must understand, our organization is 60-odd years, so we're the oldest organization in Antigua and Barbuda, and so it wasn't easy to just put us away.
Right.
Because we have a philosophy, we have a creed by which we operate. It's an institution, we're like an idea, and you cannot kill an idea. So we were always there. And so, we were strident in our approach. We continue to stay focused, because continue to look at the job at hand, and we continue to remain relevant in the public's eye.
Now, I know that you're still hoarse from your celebration, so just two more questions.
Yes, sir, man.
It sounds to me like Antiguans and Barbudans are very engaged in the political process. Like, even after the election is won, during the 5-year period, they still stay very much engaged and pay attention to what is going on. Am I right about that?
I don't know. I cannot say that with any degree of certainty, because between the 28 years and the Antigua Labour Party were in power, the opposition changed their names at least 5 times. And only towards the end, which I said might have been fatigue, and people were just a little tired of us. Clearly, the United Progressive Party, they started because the United Progressive Party might be just about 15 years old, 15, 20 years old. And then they started, and, the fatigue provided the impetus for them to just move right in. You understand?
Yes.
But the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, we were never in opposition. We were in government for 28 years, so being in opposition was relatively new to us. But then we got ourselves together, and we decided that we didn't want to be in opposition, and so we had a continuous onslaught on them, like just picking apart, making clips, playing them back, looking at their errors, and so we, the Antigua Labour Party, we were always vigilant. And so the United Progressive Party now, we will have to look and see if they were like the Antigua Labour Party, if they took the position that we took, or if Gaston Brown, as a young Prime Minister, will marshal his troops in a way that we will get 28 years again.
Now, Gaston Brown is a relative unknown, at least here in Barbados. Tell me a little bit about how the party coalesced and rallied around this new leader, who will become also our CARICOM leader in July.
Yeah, Gaston Brown has been in politics since 1999. He's relatively new. He was the manager of a bank, Swiss American Bank in Antigua, and he came into politics in 1999 when we had a vacancy in CGS. And when he came in, he won right away. Not by a large margin, but he won. And he continued to increase his votes and his support. Now, when he came into the organization, he moved to chairman. And as a chairman, he was very effective because I worked along with him as general secretary. He was very effective, and what we basically did was to take over the organization. The leader at the time, Lester Bird, he was getting older and wasn't able, in our estimation, to get the respect that we deserve. In addition to that, there was this perceived corruption around Lester Bird's legacy that we decided we did not want to go into another election with him. And so Gaston decided that he was going to challenge him, and he lost. The first time in 2005. If you want to know that it is Lester Bird's father, the Right Honorable Dr. V.C. Bird, who was involved in forming the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. And so the Bird name in the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party is very deep. It runs really deep, so it's very difficult to dislodge them. And so Gaston Brown failed in his attempt in 2005. And then in 2012, he came back. And when he came back, he was successful. But it was difficult because, like I said to you, the name in the organization. So our organization became, at times, we thought we were going to implode because there was a rift, clearly, between Gaston Brown supporters and Lester Bird supporters within the organization. But he managed to pull it together and became very strong. Nationally, when we did a poll, the Your Peter Wickham came in and did a poll earlier up, and it showed that Antiguans preferred Gaston Brown as a leader. And like I say, he's very young. He's about 45 years old. In terms of politics, he's relatively young, and he is smart, exceptional. He's very intelligent, and coming from the private sector, making the transition into politics, he has an idea of both. So he's able to function in a capacity where he can see what the business sector would want in order to accelerate. And then he's our politician from 1999. So he understands politics, but he was not the leader. However, as the leader, he has continued to move through the region because he went to Dominica and he was the guest speaker at their convention, the Dominica Labour Party. He went down to St. Lucia. He is very popular in St. Kitts. Around the OECS, They know him. And in a few short months, you are going to feel his presence in the region because he's very forceful and he, like I say, he's very intelligent. So when he speaks, and he's technical because he has a degree in finance and banking, a master's degree in finance and banking. So he's relatively there. I'll tell you this because it's very important to us. He grew up in abject poverty. So in terms of understanding how a person feels, how a person lives, he can empathize, not only sympathize, because he was there. And his mother is mentally ill. She became mentally ill when he was 9 years old. So he had to take care of his siblings.
Wow.
And his father basically went off to the United States to live. So he was stuck in Antigua with his sisters, his brother, and a sick mother that's mentally ill. So she spent most of her time in the mental institution, and he was left at 9 years old to fend for himself and his siblings.
Wow.
So Gaston Brown is a very special, in our eyes, especially in the community in which he is the parliamentary representative. And I vote in that constituency, and I happen to know him since he was about maybe 12 years old. So I saw him grow up. I saw him when he went to the bank. When he went to the bank to work, you had people leaving the community to go to the bank to make sure that it was indeed the truth, that he had got the job at the bank. When you're talking about a house that had no windows, he just grew up really, 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 really poor.
Wow. That is fantastic.
Really
That is fantastic. And we in Barbados are looking forward to meeting him and to interacting with him.
He has pulled himself up by the bootstrap. He has worked really hard. And when you look at him, when he saw him yesterday as the youngest prime minister in Antigua and Barbuda, and when they brought his mother to the government house,
wow,
to see him, and when he held her, and he hugged her and put his head in her shoulder and cried like a baby. And she, because she has been treated, so she's functioning, relatively. And she massaged his head and she said to him, "You're going to be all right." Wow. There wasn't a dry eye in the room.
Wow. Could imagine.
There was not a dry eye in that room.
Could imagine.
And he cried, and everybody around, you could hear everybody, just, emotional.
Well, I want to wish you and your party all of the very best of luck. Thank you very much, Mr.
And I
Hurst.
hope I gave you in a capsule. I hope I encapsulated.
You did very much. The organization that I'm working with right now, we are trying to bring about a political change in Barbados as well, because we badly need it here as well.
Yes.
I
met your leader of the opposition less than a year ago.
Yes, and that's who we want to be our leader. That's who we need to be our leader at this time. So I'm going to be keeping your number, and I'm going to be calling on you and hopefully your Prime Minister in due course to come down and talk with us.
Problem.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.